Hello, everyone. And thank you to my special guests. We are going to have a segment here where we're going to talk about leading dfree, people that are interested in being leaders. If you've been a leader before and you might be interested in restarting back dfree, even if you're a seasoned leader, we have some tools, resources, things that we want to share with you. So I have two special guests here with me. First, my name is Janiyah Lake. I work with the dfree team and have the pleasure of working with many leaders nationally, globally, even as they launch dfree. So I have two special guests here. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves, and we're gonna share some great tips, resources, some things that you can do if you're interested in launching dfree, want to get some new info, or just ready to get started. So we'll start with Miss Adriana.
Well, good day, everyone, wherever you are in the world. Certainly glad to be with Janiyah and the team today, and Dr. Soris. We give honor to God, certainly who is the author of all of this type of program, and we certainly are grateful for Dr. Soris and all that he has done and bringing this team together. I bring you greetings from the Agape Family Worship Center in Rahway, New Jersey. And so happy just to be a part of this movement across the board. So looking forward to our conversation today and all that we have in store. So thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Thomas Burrows. I'm from the Emmanuel Missionary Baptist Church in Indianapolis, Indiana. And Janiyah, I truly thank you for inviting me to come on with you and to share. One of the great things about dfree is that there's so much to share, and it's such a great blessing to be able to help people to get out of debt and to get their financial lives in order. So thank you very much.
Oh, so glad to have you. And you know what? That's a perfect opening because one of the things that I want to make sure we share today is answering a lot of the questions that leaders reach out to us and ask. And one of those is, they always share their passion around doing this kind of work and what brought them to it or what they want to accomplish, how they want to help others. So just tell us a little bit from the both of you about, the work that you do around this particular topic, financial empowerment, economic empowerment, helping people get free from this bondage of debt, and then how do they make that? So what brought you to this work and why it's important to the work that you do?
Well, I'll start, Janiyah. Professionally, I've been working for many, many years along the lines of racial and ethnic health disparities and just really seeing a lot of the disparities that exist in public health, but also in the private healthcare industry as well, as I work for a corporation and had been managing health benefits and strategies for a while. And as I began to also learn about disparities in, economic empowerment and financial management and building wealth legacies, it really became very obvious to me that this is an area that we really need to address in our urban communities as well as those health disparities as well. And so when someone turned me on to this program, of course, I had already been going through some, reworking our own family finances as well, trying to really make sure that we were positioned with leaving a wealth legacy. And then when I got turned on to this particular program, I thought that it was perfect for addressing a lot of disparities in areas where we could control, where we would be in control. We could control our mindset. We needed to change our mindset, come out of the kind of the generational curses that may have existed to keep us at poverty level or living paycheck to paycheck. And so it made it very simple. It addressed how we have struggled in terms of finances as a people, as Black and African Americans, and then not just us, but just in urban areas. I came from the South. I grew up in the South, rural South, and a lot we weren't exposed to. I even grew up in a household where we learned about saving money, but we didn't know enough about investing money or even building an estate plan outside of just getting life insurance. And so I took this curriculum to our Dean of Education at our church, and I said, you've got to help us disseminate this information across all of our members, at least to start in the members, so that they could start a conversation with their family members and pull it into the community. And this was my way of participating in that type of freedom movement. And so it's really been a blessing to our church, our community, families across the board, to really help to close the disparities that exist with wealth building.
Amen.
I would say excellent. Mr. Burrows, how did you guys get started?
Well, I was deep in debt back in the late 90s and early 2000s, and I started studying finance in order to get out of debt. And Pastor Webster has always had a holistic ministry, and he wanted to help our members to drop their debt. So he asked me to lead stewardship classes here at the church, which I was glad to do. It helped me and it helped others. And in 2011, Pastor Webster met Dr. Soares at a convention here in Indianapolis. And of course, they talked dfree. And Pastor Webster's response was, we're going to embrace dfree. As a matter of fact, dfree is going to become part of our DNA, because the stuff that I was teaching was financial literacy. But the way Dr. Soares presented it was to attack people's behavior. This changed our whole model and helped us to lead people in the right direction, help them to become mindful of their financial illiteracy, and to adopt dfree as a lifestyle.
That's excellent. Many folks know that my background is banking and finance, and Dr. Soares and I, came together in that way, working in the community. I did philanthropy and, supporting movements like this, but working a long time in financial literacy. Both of you are absolutely correct in that, one, there is components of history, right, that's happened to our communities. And so we've been victim to things that have happened, but then there also are things that we are kind of doing to ourselves. And so it's and both. It's not just knowledge. So to your point, Mr. Burrows, it's not just knowledge of financial literacy doesn't just fix it by itself. We have to attack why we're doing it and some of the behaviors, but we also have to really challenge ourselves to change some of the things that we've gotten, either bad habits, inherited, some of our cultural things that we do that aren't financially benefiting us, so we just have to really take charge of all that. So I thoroughly agree with both of you that this program helps people in so many ways beyond financial literacy. They need to understand what they're doing and then where they're going. And so I appreciate both of you sharing that, because it's really the impact that we see that makes dfree long-lasting change for folks.
Amen.
Yep.
Janiyah,
Yes.
one thing I just wanted to mention is, the curriculum really helped to open our eyes as well to even some things in the environment that we needed to pay attention to. When Dr. Soares talks in his book about the payday loans, I had never thought about payday loans, and a lot of the financial literature that I have read as well really didn't address payday loans and looking at that type of a resource in our communities that, it isn't always to our benefit. And so really just helping us to not only just look at our bank accounts and look at how we're spending, but to also pay attention to what's around us, what's surrounding us that may be perpetuating some of those bad habits as well. So it's been an eye-opening experience for many of our participants and students coming through the classes on so many different levels.
That's excellent. Mr. Burrows, I don't want to move past this part. We'll talk about how long you all have been doing this, but one of the things you shared with me when I talked to you was the setup. So one of the questions we always get asked by leaders is, how many people do we need to do this? How many people do we need? Is this a whole full-time job for me? As we think about when they choose dfree and the impact of dfree, you shared something with how your leadership team was set up. that you thought was really impactful, I think is a great tip to share with people.
All right. When Pastor Webster brought this to the church, he told me that he wanted me to be the team leader. And the first thing we did was read Dr. Sori's book. And Pastor looked around the congregation and he found 12 people that he wanted to become part of the team. Our first thing in our first meeting, we all sat down and he told us that we need to be transparent if we're going to teach this. We don't need to be teaching people something that we're not doing ourselves. So we sat down and put our own debt down on paper, and it came out to be 14 people had $1.6 million in debt.
Wow.
After we read the book and adopted Dr. Sori's strategy, we had meetings and we came up with surveys to present to the people to get them engaged and involved before they even went to any class, to let them know that we were here to help them and that we're not here to just talk down to them, that it's not truly an issue to be in debt, but it certainly is an issue to stay in debt. Mm-hmm. And also that money won't get you into debt and money won't get you out of debt. There has to be a change of heart, a change of mind, and a change about the whole process in the way that you deal with money. We had 280 to 300 people in our first launch.
Wow. Awesome.
We advertised for about 6 weeks before we started the classes. So I would say to anyone that's going to do this, please advertise it and get your people excited about it before you go into your first class.
Mm-hmm. That's excellent. That's excellent. And I know Mr. Burrows shared they've been doing dfree for 10 years.
Yes.
They host it twice a year and average still about 30 people in each session. So that's encouraging to hear. But same thing with you, Audrey. You guys are one of our we consider legacy partners as well. We've been doing dfree for a long time. So you've been with us since it was, both of you began when it was just the book and, been along the way with us. And we've been continually growing and developing tools and such. Share some things, because one of the things that I really appreciate about your team is you lead the team as well and have it very structured, that a lot of times I share best practices you share with me with others when they're getting started. So just let us know a little bit how your team is set up and how you guys are structured.
Yeah, so first of all, kudos to Brother Burrows and Pastor Webster for kicking off with 200 plus. I mean, that's a miracle in and of itself. But we started a little more conservatively with a team of 5. So I asked our director of Christian education, which is also our staff elder, who works directly with our pastor, Pastor Lawrence Powell. Shout out to him, woo woo, our chief supporter. I asked her, who would you recommend to really help, launch this class? And so she recommended a couple of people. And then I had one of our musicians, actually, who was a financial advisor, a professional financial advisor as well, who had been teaching financial literacy in the community for free to particular groups. And so I asked him, he was very passionate about it. So I asked him to join our team. And we had a young lady who worked for one of the financial houses, big financial houses, and she was one of their administrators. And so I said, okay, let's pull our skills together and let's get started. And we launched it with just 5 members of the team. 4 of us were teachers and an administrator, and we dived into the curriculum, and we had both the book and the workbook. And the workbook was really easy to work with so that we can have people kind of interact. And this was all when we were on site, everybody. So we've been doing it for about 4 years. And to keep people in class, Janiyah, we had snacks. We brought snacks because, number one, people were coming. This is a weeknight. People were coming from work. They had to bring their children. We loved it when people brought their children to class so that it could be a family affair. And, we wanted to provide something so that we wouldn't have barriers to learning. So that's one thing my father, an educator, always taught me. You got to feed people so they're not hungry and they won't be distracted. So that's one thing. But we've, built upon that. After that first session, I had all of these people that raised their hand and said, I want to help. And so from there, we've just been building a volunteer base of former students who've come through the program, have testimonies to share. And now we have a team of about 11 people. And I have more repeat students coming back every semester, on every age group. I mean, every age group, from the teenagers to the senior citizens, really promoting it, bringing their friends. They're telling their family members about it. Now that we're virtual, we have more people from outside of the state of New Jersey, and the tri-state area who are joining us. And so, just really getting a group of dedicated people. And the key components to our team, we have a team of volunteers from our church, but we also have a team of experts. Most of them are from our church as well, that we'll bring in to supplement and really dive deeper into the subject matter that we touch upon with the curriculum. And so we're blessed to have 2 resident financial advisors on our team. We have a dynamite group of administrators, and then people with different other skill sets that really join us. And we bind ourselves together for a good 10 weeks for the class itself, because we've condensed it a little bit. We're not in the sanctuary now, and so we have to use social media more. So we're able to really now pull upon social media. The church has a social media presence, so we partner there to make sure we're getting the announcements out. And you all have been great with providing us with materials as well, so that we can use that and get out to the people. So we have a dynamite team, and it's a pretty well-oiled machine now. And those who are, if you want to volunteer, I'll find something for you to do, in the team as well. So it's just been a great experience for everybody.
Yes,
That's
indeed.
excellent. That's excellent. You guys always are inspiring, not only to myself, but to others. I know that a lot of times we get tons of questions, and I think we could just go on for a long time, but I do want to share a few things that's frequently asked of us that usually kind of can be a barrier sometimes for people. They wonder if this is a full-time job, and I think you guys both shared how you collectively can come together. It's not a full-time job. It is something
Right.
that people are very passionate about. But I do appreciate being students, having students be part of it. Everybody takes on a little part of this and has a passion, but also those experts that come in. A lot of
Yeah.
times, some of our number one question is, what if I'm not a financial expert and I'm
Right.
nervous to lead others? And so one of the things that we work really hard, and I think you guys are sharing so beautifully, is that you don't have to be a financial expert. You can bring in experts around topics, and they're happy to share and educate alongside of you. And the tools and materials are designed that you're leading them in really changing their behaviors, addressing those issues that are affecting their money, and how they can make changes and get educated and get more information. So I appreciate both of
Absolutely.
your testimony as leaders and how it's impacting the teams and the growth that you both have had. I'm going to get ready to do just a quick little commercial, because folks are on and they, I'm sure, are, really empowered by both of you to get started. So both of you have been with us for a long time. We have grown from a book and a workbook. So if you are watching us today and you are an existing leader, you may not have known about our dfree Academy. And if you're new, the dfree Academy is actually where you want to get started. So if you go to our online academy through the foundation, dfreefoundation.org, you go to our online academy, there is a leaders course in there. And so
Yeah.
that leaders course is designed, if you're new, if you want to learn a little bit more about dfree, we go through what dfree is as the organization, how we support you, what our training and engagement team does to help you strategize, share best practices like our 2 leaders have shown here, and we can help you get started. But the leaders training is your great place to get started, and it will also provide you more tools. So once you take leaders training, other things open up to help you facilitate your classes. If you want to lead others, if you're not ready to be a leader, but you just want to help other people take their own 12 steps in the academy, all of that is for you right in the academy. So that's my, where do we get started? Everybody that's watching, what do I do? That's where you'll start. You'll also have a downloadable that's going to be part of this whole programming that will just walk you through those same steps that I just told you. So I want to take this opportunity to thank the both of you so much, not only for your leadership and the work that you're doing with dfree and with others, but the impact that we're making in our communities at large, because both of you are impacting not only inside your church, but outside into the communities that you both serve. So I want to thank you both very much.
You're very welcome. And I thank you as well for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janiyah. God bless you. God bless Dr. Soaries and all that you all are doing to really help move this movement along and really change lives.
Thank you.
I had such a unique experience some years ago. I was eating in a restaurant, minding my business. A young man came over to me and said, "Are you the guy I saw on television?" And that turned into a relationship that has caused us to be friends through the years. But what's interesting is that he took dfree back to his community, and he called and said, "Reverend, we love your book, but we need your workbook." And then someone else called and said, "We love your book, we love your workbook, we need a leader's guide." I said, "I don't have a leader's guide." And so our team got together and created this leader's guide. And the leader's guide is now online. And as you've heard, it's an effective way to help people who don't have a lot of money to go to school to get a certification or a degree in teaching people about money. In fact, the leader's guide assures you that you don't have to be a financial expert to lead dfree. It's mydfree.org. You sign up at the leader's guide portion of the online academy, and within days, you are ready to facilitate a group of people, and the online academy can help you do so. So thank you to all of those leaders that have been trained. You are now certified dfree leaders. And for those who are looking for something to do, for those who want to know how to give back, for those of you who are just chomping at the bit to prepare for 2022 and be an effective agent for change in your community, this leaders training is for you. Thank you to the two of you that spoke today and to the rest of you who will get on board and connect with this movement.